Insane, you make me crazy, insane, that's how I feel, insane, you make me crazy,
Hey guys,
insane,
and welcome back to Dysfunction Junction. I'm your host, Kim. I haven't been recording in a while. It's actually been almost a month since the last time I recorded. This has been the month from hell. From hell, I tell you. So it all started, my husband had to have surgery back in the beginning of February. So I have been doing the job of two people in this, household full of a crap ton of kids. And you don't really notice how much the other person does until you take on what you do and they do. And I won't admit this. And if you tell him, to that one person listening, mother, I'll deny it. But he does do a lot around here. And it really has made me very aware of everything that he does. But again, I won't admit that. Because I've always said to him, whenever we fight, that I don't need you, okay? I don't need you. I want you, but I don't need you. I can do all of this by myself. And I can, but it's hard. And who wants to? If I don't have to do it by myself, I don't want to. So on top of my husband having surgery, and he's already, if you are a patron of my Patreon account, then you know a little bit about what he had for surgery. So if you want to know more about that, you'll have to become a patron and find out about it. But after his surgery, we had a snowstorm and I had to shovel everything. My older son, he did help me shovel, but he's 16 and he's not one of these mature 16-year-olds who take the initiative to, go shovel the driveway or sand or whatever. His mind just doesn't think that way. And again, it's not really part of being mature. It's a lot has to do with his autism too. He has Asperger's and he's a very literal person. And if you don't specifically say, I want you to go outside and I want you to shovel and then I want you to do this and then I want you to do that, he won't do it. He has good intentions. His mind just doesn't work that way. Not to mention he has ADHD. So even if you did tell him you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, by the time he gets out there and he's finished the first thing that you've given him to do, he's forgotten the rest. So he did his best. He really did do his best. But in this one incident, we just had this great big snowstorm. It was ridiculous. And I was out there shoveling, cleaning up after what he had done. And I told my daughter, Miss Piper, that she's probably going to want to ride the bus because I don't know how long it's going to take me out there to shovel all this snow. And the key word that she heard was, you might have to take the bus. That's all she heard. So I'm out there shoveling the snow and she comes out and she's like, Mom, I broke my finger. I'm like, how do you know? And she holds up her hand and she's got 3 fingers, plus her thumb straight in the air. And the other one, the pinky, is pointing all the way to the left. I'm like, oh, crap. And I was so mad because I kept saying, why didn't you just get on the bus? Get on the bus. And of course, she didn't do anything that I had told her to do before that. She didn't brush her teeth. She didn't put deodorant on. She didn't, get her backpack ready. Nothing. She was on her phone the entire time. I was so mad. And it reminds me of the time when I was a kid and we lived in Germany. Yes, I am a military brat. My stepdad, who actually was like my biological dad, him and my mom got married when I was 9. And we're together for like 15 years. He was the only dad I've ever known. He was my dad. He raised me. But we were living in Germany. And and during that time, I was in, I did 6th, 7th, 8th, and part of 9th grade there. And one Christmas, we were horsing around in the kitchen like we always did. That's what we did. My dad's the guy who would fart in the car in the middle of the summer, lock the windows up, and turn the heat on. That was him. Very much a, dad jokester. But we're fooling around in the kitchen. It was Christmas time. My mom was making cookies, and she had what's called a fry daddy. And basically it was just like this big pot full of boiling hot liquid. And we had this table. It was a European table set where you had the bench seat, which was like a big L, and the table sat in the middle because I was the oldest of 5. So we had this great big bench seat with the table in the middle. And the fry daddy was on the table, and it was plugged in to the wall. So, of course, it like draped over the seat. Well, we're horsing around in the kitchen, and my dad, again, farts. And I thought it was so funny, and I'm laughing, and I'm not paying attention, and I flop right down on that wire. And the hot grease pours on top of my back. And, of course, the first thing that my dad does is he rips me up off that bench seat, and he pulls my sweater off, and a couple layers of skin come off with it. Oh, my mom was so mad. They drove us to the emergency room, and so the whole time he's driving, my mom is yelling at the both of us at the top of her lungs, "I can't believe you guys. What are they going to say? They're going to think that I beat you. They're going to think that I don't take care of you." Of course, turned it all around on her that, they're going to think she's a bad mother. They're going to think that, she wasn't paying attention. Not that, I could be scarred for life. And what if I need surgeries? No. We as moms, not the moms in my family, we don't think like that. I did not, tell her, Piper, that. I did not think that they were going to think that I beat her or I was neglectful, but I was really mad. And the whole way to the emergency room, I just kept saying, "Why didn't you just get on the bus? You should have been on the bus. Why didn't you get on the bus?" Oh. So I felt bad afterwards, of course, because then she felt like I didn't care that she broke her finger. But at the time, I didn't care she broke her finger. I didn't care. I was mad. I was really mad. She should have been on that bus. But all in all, she was a trooper. She did not cry and carry on like I thought she would. She was more worried that I was upset and that I was mad at her than the actual pain in her finger. So we get to the emergency room, and sure enough, she broke her pinky. She broke it right on the growth plate. She had to have this big injection in her hand because they had to reset it. She was really, really good. She didn't cry. She let them inject her finger to numb it, set it, everything. She was awesome. But the very next week, we're in the emergency room again. Next big snowstorm, and Piper has strep throat. And it was the week of February vacation. She's had the worst couple of weeks. I think her week or her month has been just as bad as her dad's. So I ended up having to take Caden with me to the emergency room that day too, because he had a rash and he hadn't been himself. He's really been kind of out of sorts. And I'm asking him, if he didn't feel well, if something hurt, and he kept telling me no, but he had this rash. And so because Piper was complaining of a sore throat and he had this rash, I'm like, I bet you they have strep. And it was on a Sunday, and it was right after a snowstorm yet again. I got to go out there and shovel to get my kids to the emergency room. Now, please, I am not a big emergency room person. I'm not even a big doctor person. I'm not big on giving my kids pills, even though they both do, they take anxiety meds, Piper and Jared both, and they both have, ADHD, and they take meds we went through a lot of counseling and a lot of appointments, and, to where it was finally, look, we've done what we can do. We've given them the skills that they need to be able to help with their anxiety, and it still wasn't helping. And, and mental illness and depression and anxiety runs in our family, and they're doing great. I mean, if you saw them before and how they were just miserable, and now they're doing really well. So, but I'm not a big person on, pain meds or, bringing them to the doctors because they have a runny nose or because they have a stomach ache. Usually I'm like, you know what? It's viral. We'll wait it out and they'll get over it. But she was absolutely miserable. And it was on a Sunday, and the next day was President's Day, and the doctor's office was closed. So I'm like, I can't let her go another day if she has strep throat. So anyway, we go to the emergency room, and with both the kids, with Piper and Caden, and they looked in Piper's throat, and they said immediately, "Oh, I'm almost positive this is strep." But with Caden, they weren't so sure because his throat wasn't red, but he had a rash. And I told them before that my oldest had scarlet fever twice when he was little. And I said, and the doctor said the same thing then. If he didn't even have a fever. And they said if we wouldn't have swabbed his throat, we never would have known that this child had strep throat. Now, what they call that was when you have strep throat and a rash is scarlet fever. And I remember when I told my grandmother about it, she was freaking out. She's like, back in my day, they would quarantine people with scarlet fever. So, but thankfully they don't do that anymore. So they swabbed her throat, and sure enough, both of them come back positive for strep. And again, the doctor said, if my daughter hadn't come in with such a nasty throat, they never would have swabbed Caden's throat because his throat wasn't red and he didn't have a fever. He just had that, aggravating rash. So either way, I'm glad we brought him in. They both got treated. And then my poor baby, she was on antibiotics for a couple days. She seemed like she was getting better. But they did give her a steroid when we first got there, an oral steroid, because her throat was so raw and so swollen that it was even kind of difficult for her to breathe. So, but that steroid also lowered her immune system a little bit more. The doctor did tell me that that sometimes that can happen. But what did happen with her, my poor baby, again, worst month ever, is because her immune system was low from the strep, she ended up getting hand, foot, and mouth. And now her lip was a mess. So now, not only is she on antibiotics for her strep throat, but now she had to have some ointment for her lip because she, when you get hand, foot, and mouth, it's very contagious. And you get these little sores all over your body, on your hands, on your feet. It can be anywhere, and in your mouth, down your throat. And that's what ended up happening with her. It was all in her mouth. It was on her lips. It was down in her throat. She's just been a mess. She's finally starting to feel a little bit better and starting to eat. She's been really good about drinking, even though it was painful. But she hasn't been able to eat. Today's, I think, the first day she's really been able to get some good nutrition in. So that's what my time's been like. The month of February. The month of February is supposed to be about love because Valentine's Day. Well, I'll tell you what, I wasn't feeling no love this time. It sucked. Speaking of Valentine's Day, what do you folks do for Valentine's Day? Is it something that you guys, go way out for? Or are you one of those couples where Valentine's Day isn't just one day? It's like every day. Barf. Look, I'm not a big Valentine's Day person either. And actually, I am, and my husband hates it when I say this, but I am the man of the relationship, really. I don't remember birthdays. I don't remember anniversaries. I forget about Valentine's Day and things that are special. I don't do it on purpose. It's just that my brain and my ADHD brain is just on overload, and it works, faster than everything else on my body, and I forget. I mean, heck, I forget my kids' names most of the time. They get so mad at me because I'm like, heck, why do you think I taught you your name? So I don't have to remember, okay? I got enough going on. I got enough on my plate. You remember your own name, okay? They know who I'm talking about. I don't have to say their name. They know. She's Louise, Mother of the Year. I know. But I don't remember that stuff, and I don't do it on purpose. And thank God my husband is okay with that for the most part. But I'm also not the type of girl who needs cards and needs flowers. I'm just not. I mean, flowers die. How long do you keep a card? I mean, wasn't there a whole Seinfeld episode once about, what's the rule about keeping cards? How long are you supposed to keep it? What are you supposed to do with it? I mean, after a while, somebody has to throw it away. Why not me? I think I'm doing my family a service. I really do. I mean, think about it. In how old am I? None of your business. In 30 years, someone, once I'm dead and I'm gone, someone's going to throw it away. I don't want them feeling guilty about throwing my card away. So I'm just going to do it. I'm doing it for them. I mean, really. I think I'm a good person, damn it, by throwing your card away. I'm doing it for you. Anyway, but I digress. So Valentine's Day, we don't go all out. And to be quite frankly, look, we have a lot of kids. We don't have a lot of support in the means of babysitters. I mean, really, if my husband and I get to run to the grocery store for Valentine's evening and, pick up something sweet on the way home, we're okay with that. Really. I know it sounds terrible. And when you have a big family and you don't have, babysitters or whatever, you take whatever little bit of time that you can get. So literally lots of times our date night is running to the grocery store and then maybe, running into Cumberland Farms on the way home, getting a coffee and a whoopie pie, and you come home and you snuggle on the couch and you watch Psych. Again, one of my favorite shows is on Amazon. And I can watch that show over and over again. And just that's what makes us happy. We don't need, a big fancy dinner or a movie. And let's face it, my husband falls asleep at the movie every time. Every time. So I don't see the big deal. I don't. Sorry. So, and every time I try to plan something special for my husband, he guesses it every time. And I hate it. And then he ruins it. So why bother? Or he gets sick. He gets sick a lot. You will learn that. My husband is a walking, I don't want to say accident. He's not really accident prone, but he has a lot of, issues. A lot of health issues. And yes, it drives me crazy, but he genuinely does have a lot of things going on. It's like every time he goes to the doctor, he generally has something like a sinus infection or something wrong with his stomach or whatever. His finger, his butt, his head. He's got lots of stuff. But anyway, what else did I want to talk about? Oh, the Olympics. So does anybody else care about the Olympics? No? I don't either. I don't care about the Olympics. I'm sorry. I mean, the only time I shouldn't say the only time I cared about it. I mean, the last time I watched the Olympics was way back in the day when it was Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding, and they were going at it. And every time I think about it, I always think of Nancy Kerrigan, and she's bent over on the bench, and she's going, why? I know, that's sad. I'm sorry. That's not very nice. But I can't help it. That's what I think about. So anyway, either way, I'm really not into the Olympics either. But the one thing that stands out to me this year is that they have quite a few openly gay Olympians, which I think is really, really cool. And I know my oldest son is, he's a gay man and he's very proud of it. And I'm very proud of him and I love him very much. And he will probably yell at me for saying this, but I don't understand why they have to say the gay Olympian. I don't get it. I mean, they don't say the straight Olympian or the white Olympian or the black Olympian. I mean, do they? I mean, am I that naive about stuff? I mean, I don't know. He says that I just, because I'm a, white straight person, that, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words because now I'm stumbling on my words and he's going to kill me. Not that he's ever going to listen, but I know it's a big thing to be able to be openly gay. I get that. But I just don't understand why he has to be a gay Olympian. Why can't he just be an Olympian? I just don't understand that. I don't understand why you have to say that. I mean, not that you're hiding it. I just don't understand, why does that make you who you are? I mean, to me, and I guess because I've never struggled with being gay or being oppressed, as my son would say, but I mean, I'm a woman. I'm a woman. I mean, women have been oppressed. I don't know. I guess I just don't feel oppressed. I just never have to. I just don't. I guess my brain just doesn't think that way. And this is probably got at my best. I really hope my son doesn't listen to this because he's probably just cringing at every word I say. Okay, I'm back. I had to pause for a minute. I hear people walking out in the hallway and it distracts me when I'm trying to record my show. Anyway, I'm going to close for now. I think I've rattled on long enough. There's still so much more things that I wanted to talk about, but I've been talking forever and I think I'm going to close this up here. So before I do though, please don't send me any nasty emails or nasty comments about oppression or gay people or women or anything like that. It's just, the ramblings that go on in my head that I think about. I just don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair that people get judged because of their woman or they're black or they're, gay or straight or whatever. I think it's so stupid. And I guess because I've never had to deal with that sort of thing, I don't know. I'm going to stop talking now because I'm just making myself look like a jackass. Excuse my language. So, I'm just going to stop talking for now because I'm digging myself into a bigger hole. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for listening. Please be sure to follow us on all of our social media pages. You can connect with us on Facebook at facebook.com/dysfunkjunk7. And of course on our Facebook group page at facebook.com/groups/DF podcast. That's D as in dog, F as in Frank, podcast. If you prefer Twitter, you can find us at twitter.com/dysfunkjunkmom. I'm sorry that I have to use a dysfunk junk, but somebody took Dysfunction Junction. Jerks. So if you know who they are, tell them give it up. And for all of you Instagram peeps, you can look us up at instagram.com/dysfunkjunk7. Or you can check out our show notes on our website at dfpodcast.com. podcast.com. And last but certainly not least, if you ever find it in your heart to buy this biatch of coffee every month, please visit us over at patreon.com/dysfunctionjunction. And you can also find us on my website too, which is dfpodcast.com. That's D as in dog, F as in Frank, podcast.com. Or you can leave a message on SpeakPipe for me as well. If you would be so kind to head on over to iTunes, or I think it's Apple Podcasts now, leave a review, leave a comment. I would really appreciate it. Thanks again. Have a great day, y'all.
Insane. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. Insane. You make me crazy. Make me crazy. Insane. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.